Hello and welcome back to the Gorilla Biker, and today what we're going to be doing is removing the front wheel from my Suzuki V-Strom. The important thing about this is it's kind of applicable to all motorcycles that have a front wheel, which is hopefully all motorcycles. Yes, the method will differ slightly differently, but I could take the front wheel off any of the 3 motorcycles I have in this garage and it's all going to be essentially the same thing. So if you came here to see how to remove a front wheel and what you should check when your front wheel is off, then stick around and I will show you. Without further ado, let's get the Suzuki up on the rear stand, paddock stand, and then we'll put it up on the front stand. There is one thing I will have to show you when we do that, but we'll get to it when we get to it. So to begin, so first we're going to fit up the rear stand, otherwise known as the paddock stand. Just going to move this forward into the light ever so slightly. It's actually a really bad paddock stand and I should get a new one. Okay, to show you something really quick first. And before I put this up onto the front stand, and this is the dark side of the moon here, there is a little ABS sensor right here. And I'm going to remove, sorry, down here, this one here. I'm going to remove that bolt because the good front stand I have, this one here, you can actually see when you lift up the bike on it, it's catching that bolt ever so slightly. So we're going to remove that bolt first and foremost, and we'll go from there. So that little ABS bolt is an 8. And essentially I'm just getting that out of the way. So there is still a bracket there that's going to hit the front stand. But what I just wanted to make sure that what didn't happen is that I damaged the sensor itself. So isn't going to be the prettiest due to that little stupid lump. So you can see there we're actually sitting up on that fitting, so I do need to change that. This is so far the only issue I've run into on the V-Strom with this stuff is front stand positioning is a bit of a pain. Alright, so next what you want to do is loosen your pinch bolts, which look to be a 10 as well. So these are your pinch bolts up here. They're not a 10. What size do I have here? 12. Are they not a 12? Oh, wait. I had an 8 on there. They're a 10. So you want to just loosen up your pinch bolts. You don't want to loosen them too much. You don't need to take them out or anything. They're pinch bolts. And then the same on the other side. Now what I have done here is I've also put a jack underneath, because I'm not really happy with how this front stand is holding this bike. But I do need to get this wheel off to change the tire. So it needs to be done either way. So we're doing it. Next, one thing that you need for this is a size 24 Allen. And I'll show you in a close-up where everything is now in a second. But this is kind of a ridiculously oversized thing that I wish wasn't on this bike. But if you want to be able to remove your own wheel yourself, you can get that bit on line. Just to show you, and again, I think people just congregate outside my garage sometimes. These pinch bolts here are size 10. You want to just loosen them. This right here is a size 30. And then this over here is a size 24 Allen. I don't know why Suzuki made it such a weird size. It's actually quite difficult to get. Much more difficult than the old size 19 Allen. But either way, once you're this far, you can just loosen these. Actually, might be easier the other way around for now to get, oops, Ta-da! So then, really what we need to do is remove the brake calipers. Now some bikes, you don't need to remove the brake calipers, which have 2 bolts, 1, 2, but we are going to remove the bolts, 1 and 2. I believe they're size 12, but I'll double check and let you know. Yep, size 12. So all of these bolts were on incredibly tight. And also they didn't have any copper anti-seize, which I would always recommend. So when you get this far, I'll grab the camera and show you as best I can. But when you get this far, what you also want to do is check your calipers. So these ones will be cleaned before I put them back on. They're filthy. Just a bit of a brake cleaner. And you can also see there's a good bit of brake pad left, but they're not fantastic. So I'll probably order some new brake pads too. So that's number one thing you want to check, is make sure that your calipers, you actually have pads left, and also that, you know, your brake calipers don't look like there's pieces of dust seal or whatever else falling out. So that's check number one. If you could freely rotate your wheel, which I can't because this front stand isn't very good, you also want to roll your wheel and make sure you don't feel anything. But when we get the wheel off, we're going to check the bearings anyway. So that is our wheel out. I'm not sure, can you see the tire? This is why this wheel is coming off. Tire is lipped, so it's flat here and it's kind of getting there here. So this tire is no good. We're actually, we're at the wear marker here, but there is no life left in this. So once you have your front wheel off, you want to check your bearings. These rails right here, these guys here, these are your bearings. And what you want to do is roll them around, feel for any roughness, and then try and move them side to side. This one's perfect. And also check your dust seal. That looks good. Check your brake. Make sure there's nothing, I don't know why this is all scratched up, which is a bit annoying, but anyway. And just basically check your hub and your brake for damage. Another thing you want to do while you have it off is all these holes in your brake disc. You want to kind of make sure that there's no obvious cracks going between them. It is a failure point on this style of brake disc, and it can happen, so also do check that. So check this side over here. And again, don't lose your spacer. So this is a spacer, really important it stays on. This is obviously your left-hand side because that's your ABS ring, which we removed the sensor for earlier. So spacer out of your way. Again, check that bearing, which feels really good. No play in it, and it feels really smooth to roll. And that's it. Again, just check your disc, and also check your ABS ring for damage if you have one. But other than that, I mean, what you want to be looking at is your tire wear, which, as we already discussed, I don't know will you be able to see it, but there's a flat here and a flat here. So this tire is cooked. It also feels really bad on the road, which is why really the main reason I want to change it is it feels bad. I mean, there's a little bit of meat left in it, but it feels really, really crappy, especially the transition from this lump. You have a lump here and a lump here, so the transition to this flat to the rest of the tire feels really, really, really bad, which obviously doesn't give you much confidence in your wheel. So that's why that's off. It's going to be staying off. I have a new tire arriving tomorrow, and then I'm going to go to Cycle Gear to get it changed. Other than that, we'll leave that down there for a second. Back over to the bike. We already went through checking our brake calipers and our brake pads. Again, there's still life left in them, and I'll clean them later. The other thing you want to check for is while you're in here, you want to kind of clean where you never really get to see. So in here, I'm going to clean that, and I clean that, and then just check in here for any damage. Get in there, just don't be afraid, feel around your fingers. You're not going to hurt yourself. No damage there, no damage there, which there shouldn't be. This bike is very, very new. So that's what we're looking for. But just have a good look, check for any damage, any dirt, clean off what you can clean off, and go from there. So that is it. I'm a little bit sweaty. Hopefully that was clear. The nice thing about this is, and if you want to see a video of me checking this on a rear wheel, just let me know. I can do it on the rear as well. The main things are, make sure your bike is supported. So that's why I used that jack stand as well, or the jack as well, because I wanted to make sure the bike was secure. Not overly delighted with that front stand. That is a trackside front stand. I don't blame the stand, I blame Suzuki for putting that ABS thing there. It's a really stupid place to have it. It makes it very difficult to lift the bike, and I don't like it. But yeah, other than that, I ordered the new front tire from Cycle Gear, and to call out Cycle Gear, a good call out, shout out I suppose is the positive way of saying it. Cycle Gear, if you buy the tire from them, will fit it and balance it for $25. That is by far and away the cheapest I've found over here, and I think $25 when you buy a tire from someone to mount and balance, provided you just bring them a wheel, is actually a good price. Too many places over here are charging like $50 to $75 to change a tire. Do not pay that. If you're bringing them a wheel, do not pay that. It's way too expensive. It's robbery. I know they have workshops. I know workshops need to make money, but that is way too much to change a tire in my opinion. So shop around. If you have a local Cycle Gear, give them the business, because props to them. Other than that, if you want to take the front wheel off of Suzuki V-Strom 1000, it is actually quite easy when you have the right tools. I definitely would not be saying it's easy unless you have the correct front stand. And the things that I noticed on this bike is that front axle was quite tight. The front axle doesn't have much grease on it, so I will be re-greasing that. When you put it back together, make sure you put grease on that axle. And my brake caliper bolts did not have any copper anti-seize on them, so they were all kind of seized, which is just a recipe for a bad time, because at some point they're going to be really hard to get out of there, and you're probably going to strip the heads off them trying to move them. So make sure you put a bit of copper anti-seize on there going back in. They don't need to be cranked to the moon like those ones were, they will hold. So yeah, when you're taking it off, check your calipers, seals and everything else, make sure there's no obvious leaks. Check your brake pads, make sure your brake pads have a bit of life left in them, which these ones do. Check your tire if you're not taking it off to change the tire. Look for wear indicators, look for any flat spots, and look for that lipping, as it's called, when you have that transition between the different areas. And check your bearings. Bearings are probably the most important. But yeah, like I said, if you want to see me do this on a rear wheel, let me know in the comments. As always, a very special thank you to all of my patrons for supporting the channel. And thank the rest of you for watching. If you have any questions, do leave them down in the comments. And yeah, until next time, thank you again for watching. Adios. Outro crew. Does anyone have any suggestions for a not bad front stand? I don't know why Suzuki and some others have made it overcomplicated to lift a bike. It's really stupid. I really don't know why that ABS sensor thing is there. I would love to cut it off. It's absolutely ridiculous to have it there. I mean, how the hell are you supposed to lift the front of the bike straight? But anyway, we have a jack. We'll figure it out. And also the Hepco&Becker skid plate is a great jacking point because it is frame mounted. So thanks Hepco&Becker. Yay. Yeah, bye outro crew.